So in 2023, I had applied for a position to become a director for a daycare center that was up and coming in my immediate neighborhood. So I am in Chicago in the downtown area. So it was one of those high-end daycare owners. So she brought me in very early in her stages. She was still finishing up her licensing process. In fact, she was relying on me a lot to help her do the finishing touches, making sure the equipment was right, making sure that she had everything in place so that licenses can be completed, making sure we were hiring the right staff and the qualifications was in place. So I remember we sat down one day and we was having lunch. And I told her, I said, you know what, you're doing something great here. Because in the Chicagoland area where there are multiple high-end daycare areas, majority of them are ran by men. And let's just say some of the practices and things that I have seen in my experience were not the great. And so I informed her, I said, you are in a great position. You brought somebody on, such as myself, that I can really help you be the go-to daycare in this area. You can do something absolutely different. She had 2 centers she was working on, and she was putting me over one. We were sitting down and having lunch, and I was telling her that this field requires passion. You have to have a love for it. If not, learn to develop the love for it. I'm all for people opening up daycare centers for investment opportunities, but however, put the right staff in place so that the daycare center can flourish. And I sat down and I was telling her these things. I said that when you open up a daycare, this is very different than any other business that you will probably ever have to open, because she had a lot of other things in her portfolio. I told her that you're not opening up a grocery store, you're not opening up a restaurant that once you open, people could come in and there's not a lot of trust building going on. It's just them visiting and having more experience. Vice versa, when you open up a childcare, it is going to take time, especially if you want to do it the right way and you want to build your foundation correctly. I told her this is a trust building business. Is relationship building. It starts with your teachers, it starts with the parents, so everything starts eternal and working its way out. And she was just, oh, I am so happy you're on my team. I know I'm gonna be successful. You know exactly what you're talking about and where you're going. And so 6 months in, this is what we have already accomplished, or should I say I accomplished. She was just following my lead. So 6 months in, we have 3 classrooms open. We have an infant classroom open, we have a toddler, and we have our preschool. So she needed 2 more classrooms to be open, which was her pre-K and her 2-year-old classroom. And we were well on our way to doing that. When I tell you that I built an internal systems that the teachers felt heard, they felt valued, and it didn't take away from anything. It didn't make me like I was a bad boss or I lost my authority, because I understood that if teachers felt valued, then they will come and give 100% of themselves and give their best work, which make happy parents. Happy parents make stable enrollment. Stable enrollment, guess what? Produce more income. So I understood that structure. So I built a structure around the teachers where they wanted to come to work every day. It was fun. I got in the classrooms with them. I listened to some of their concerns. If it was valid and I had to go to the owner, I went to the owner and I explained why this needs to be. She was very supportive through it all because she started seeing the value in what it was, and parents started leaving 5-star reviews. Remind you, 6 months in, she got 5-star reviews. We had other parents leaving daycares coming to us because of the way I established her culture and how I built the trust in the systems with the parents. And so one day she comes into the office and I'm just sitting there working, and she has a very real conversation with me, and I validated it and I did not, discredit what she was going through. She said, well, I took out $1 million to fund these daycare projects because the center, it was a state-of-the-art center. It was $1 million, I think she said $2-3 million bill. So now the bank is starting to hound her for the money. And I said to her, I said, I am so sorry that you're going through this. I'm not entirely sure when you went and did this proposal, what did you promise or what did you guarantee was going to happen? But if you have a choice to make, you can go and do what the other centers in the area that's been doing that we talked about and get this fast enrollment, but the inside of your center is going to suffer for it. Or we can continue doing what we're doing and we figure out some kind of way to offset the numbers. And then the thing about it, I'm gonna be honest, she was a wealthy woman, so it wasn't like she was hurting for the money. Again, I'm not trying to discredit anything she was saying, but I just knew that if she was to deviate from what we were doing, that she was going to be in trouble. And so behind the scenes, I have no idea what she was going through. We would have debates day in, day out. She began to get very hands-on and began to just ruin everything. We've had parents start questioning things, everybody started feeling her pressure of whatever she was experiencing financially with her center. And it finally got to the point where I said, well, for the sake of this video, I'm going to say B. I'm not going to say her real name. I'm going to say Miss B. I understand this is your business, and I can't tell you how to run it. But this is what's going to happen if we keep going in this direction. If you keep trying to work it from a number standpoint. And she wanted to go in that direction, and that was completely fine. So I made it the decision that I wanted to part ways with her because it did not align with me. I just felt like we were doing good. The center was stabilized, and 6 months in, she had 3 classrooms opening. A year in is when she really started panicking. And so I moved on, and I kid you not, I want to say within 90 days, she sold her center. When she sold it, the staff tried to stay on, and they were calling me, messaging me, telling me how bad things were. Kids were getting hurt. Before she sold it, she tried to run it. She tried to duplicate what I was doing, and it was not working for her. One of the children's hands got broken. It was a lot that went south. And she abruptly sold the center without telling the parents, without telling the staff, like she did it and then told them. And when she did that, that just disrupted everything. Parents started leaving. Staff started leaving. Everything that I had built and put in place for her had fell apart. And when she sold it, now I go in parent groups just to check it out. And parents will say, oh, well, such and such center used to be a good center before it got sold. See, what a lot of parents did not understand, that I was the driving force behind that. It wasn't her. And so when I left and she had to build it on her own, she soon found out exactly what I was talking about. And so the moral of the story, if you're going to open up a childcare center, and I'm talking to daycare owners, sit down and count up the costs. I understand that financial plays a big part, and it does. But make sure that you have enough money, enough cushion to cover your trajectory. It's going to take a good 2 to 3 years to really get solid. And I'm not talking about if you're trying to do it the way some people do it to get fast enrollment, but you don't have the staff to accommodate the enrollment, and you don't have the systems in place, but you're just bringing in kids. I'm talking about if you're really building a stable center to where you have the staff to accommodate the enrollments, and the staff is clear on the leadership, that the parents can trust that they can leave their kids, and that's where everything else falls in line. So that is my story time for today. Thank you for listening.